So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. HB 1103 is a pilot program for ranked choice voting in local elections in Virginia for city councils and county boards. It would authorize localities to develop that pilot program over the course of the next 10 years with a sunset clause. I have sheets coming down that have sample ballots and a short page of talking points. The sample ballot is from Portland, Maine, which has been using ranked choice to elect its city council now for over a decade. Ranked choice voting is used in communities around the country, in Minneapolis and St. Paul, Santa Fe, Memphis, Oakland. It's a benefit to communities like mine in Charlottesville, which tends to have very low turnout primaries in the summer and then local elections in the fall that often have multiple candidates running for a handful of open seats. You end up with really split elections and less certainty about which candidate has majority support for the community. If you think about how the candidates emerged from the Iowa primaries recently, you understand the problem that ranked choice voting is designed to solve. Sometimes you've got 4 folks running for 1 seat and you're not really clear who has majority support. So you can see from the ballot that in a ranked choice election, you rank the candidates from most to least favorite. If somebody wins the majority of the first choice votes, that person wins the election just like any other time. But if nobody does, then you knock off the lowest vote getter and transfer their voters' support to the second choice.
Senator Bell.
Can I ask the clerk, what are the differences between the bill we heard before and this bill?
Mr. Chair, Senator Bell, the differences between these two bills is Delegate Hudson's bill is a local option pilot program. It also doesn't get into the very specific details of how these votes are counted and instead leave it to the State Board of Elections to come up with the procedures for counting these types of ballots and then the procedures for conducting elections in this manner. It is limited to local elections in county boards of supervisors and city councils, but it is not limited to Arlington County.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so I've worked with ELECT to iron out those details, and they preferred a version of the bill that would allow them to promulgate the regulations in consultation with local registrars. So the bill was intended to be flexible so that the folks most in the know could ensure the details.
Okay, are there further questions of Delegate Hudson? Senator Mason.
Man, how does the pilot part of it work?
I think the reason that it was called a pilot by DLS is that it has a sunset clause. I think that was really the only part. So if no one were to exercise the option, then the program would disappear after a decade.
Senator Boysko.
Had to figure out where my mic was. I like the concept of what she's talking about, and when it's appropriate, I would like to move to report the bill.
Okay, well, let's hear from the audience first. Are there those who would like to speak in favor of House Bill 1103?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would invite up Chris Hughes, who is an attorney from the National Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center, who helped us in designing the bill.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm an attorney and the policy director at the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center, where I study ranked choice voting implementations and have done so for about 4 years. We know that this bill was well crafted, and we're looking forward to seeing how implementation goes in Virginia if it is passed.
Okay. Other questions? Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at the fiscal impact, and would this be the $1.3 million fiscal impact? Is that going to be absorbed by the county, or would the Commonwealth have to absorb that? Because it's a pretty large fiscal impact.
So that the fiscal impact, I believe the bill is written such that if a jurisdiction adopts ranked choice voting, that cost falls to them. But I do also believe that the vast majority of jurisdictions in Virginia have ranked choice voting capable equipment, and that the fiscal impact statement is probably overstated, and the cost would be much lower if a city or a county chose to implement ranked choice voting.
Okay, are there other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Are there others who would like to speak in favor of the bill?
I'm Bill Love from Albemarle County. I hadn't really planned to talk on this, but I've talked to Sally, Ms. Hudson, about this before, and it sounds like the type of thing we should be trying out in Virginia. And she's obviously going about this in a very conservative way, so I would support it. Thank you.
Could you tell them your credentials?
I happen to be one of the 2 Democrats on the Albemarle County Electoral Board.
Okay, thank you. Are there others? Are there those who have a contrary view? Okay, the bill's before the committee. What's your pleasure?
Move
It
to
has
report.
I would, if it's reported, it has to go to the finance committee.
Move to report and refer to finance.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Are there further motions or discussion from the committee?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Serville.
I'll just say that, as I said earlier, this has been used in Arlington County. I believe actually Delegate Sullivan might have even been the beneficiary of this process when he first ran, and I think it's worked very well. It got us him. I think it's something we ought to explore. It's working well in Maine, and I love the idea of a pilot, so I support it.
Okay. Well, thank you for your endorsement, Senator Serville. I mean, everybody ought to get one of those, right? Okay, open the roll, please.
Eight ayes, 5 nays.
Okay, Senator